The war in Ukraine is ruthlessly stripping away illusions about how effective weapons really are. The Leopard 2 was expected on the front lines as a total game changer. It was credited with an almost magical ability to shatter defenses, survive, and dictate its own logic of battle to the enemy. But they don't read press releases on the front lines. Alongside the Leopard 2, PZH-2000, and Marder, the stars of this video will be the latest German weaponry and future developments. It took decades and many generations of scientists and engineers before this sophisticated machinery appeared. But it's not blueprints that play the decisive role in the evolution of weapons. It's wars. What did German generals see in the war in Ukraine, and what will they do in a war where satellite communication becomes so vulnerable that Starlink gets shut down? What mission did the German defense industry receive from the Bundeswehr? What place will German weaponry take in the wars of the future, given that Europe's security depends on it? You'll find out all about that coming up. But before we peek inside the black box of military secrets, don't forget to drop a like on this video, because it helps us push the content further. Let's start with tanks. First off, the Leopard 2 often saves the crew's lives even after taking serious hits. Design features like blowout panels for the ammo rack actually work. Second, German tanks show a clear superiority over Soviet-era tanks in terms of maneuverability and bite-and-run tactics. But if you look through the eyes of a Bundeswehr staff officer, it becomes obvious the tank isn't being used the way it was designed to be. To recap, Western offensive doctrine calls for using tanks as part of large units with combined firepower for rapid counteroffensives and breaking through enemy lines. And this is where something comes into play that was never in any Western tank doctrine. The experience of the 2023 Ukrainian counteroffensive showed that dense mining and constant drone surveillance made attacks with large numbers of tanks lethal. But what about defense? As for defensive doctrine, it involves using the Leopard's superior optics to strike from long distances, followed by a quick change of position. But even this tactic is in question, because even 10 kilometers from enemy positions no longer guarantees safety. Drones reach even deeper. The Leopard 2, just like other tanks, turned out to be far too vulnerable to FPVs and loitering munitions. Because of this, the Ukrainians made changes to the standard design. The Germans jokingly dubbed it the Leopard 2 A4V. They are mounting Soviet Contact 1 explosive reactive armor, or modern Ukrainian NIJ systems on the tanks. They're adding metal screens and cages. This setup doesn't restrict the turret rotation and forces the drone to detonate at a distance from the armor. Still, a swarm of drones is capable of bringing down any beast. This Leopard 2 takes 26 hits. The crew escapes, but the tank remains on the battlefield immobilized. In general, according to open source estimates, up to 50% of the 100 Leopard 2s provided by the Allies have been knocked out of action during the fighting. Naturally, Western generals are aware of this information, and they've concluded that this Leopard, in its current form, no longer meets the requirements of the battlefield. Now you'll find out what task the military gave to the engineers, but first, check if you're subscribed to our channel. If not, hit subscribe so you don't miss our next videos. Thank you. So, April 10th, 2025, Cologne, Germany. This is where the MGCS project, Main Ground Combat System, officially kicks off, under which the future European post-Leopard tank is to appear. A separate company is being created for this purpose. 4 giants have come together in it: KNDS Deutschland and KNDS France, Rheinmetall Landsystem, and Thalys. Effectively, this means one thing. Europe is beginning to gather the experience of the Ukrainian war into a single hub. This applies not only to tanks, but also to Marders and PZH-2000s, as well as anti-drone weapons. Here is what's in store for the new Leopard. First and foremost, it will get an autoloader. This is essentially an admission that an autoloader delivers better results in real combat. However, an autoloader isn't just about convenience. It's about who can fight now. Here's what we mean. MGCS is a transition to the single button concept. In addition to the autoloader, the new Leopard will get a smart fire control system. Built-in artificial intelligence takes over the automatic detection and classification of targets. The AI itself prioritizes by threat level and marks tank IFVs. or ATGM's crew on the display. Ammo selection, accounting for wind, and powder temperature happen instantly, also without human involvement. The gunner only has to confirm the target lock and press fire. Boom! This level of automation lowers the entry barrier and shortens crew training time. This is very smart when your country is attacked out of the blue and you need to quickly man your units, even with women. But the decisive question remains: how far does the shell fly after pressing the button? The Leopard is indeed getting a new gun. Two options are being considered: the 140mm Ascalon system, which is already undergoing testing, and a 130mm gun from Rheinmetall. The 130mm shell provides approximately 50% more muzzle energy than the modern 120mm L55 gun. This allows it to punch through the composite armor of advanced tanks at distances where a 120mm shell is already losing its punch. The 140mm Ascalon system is geared toward reaching an energy level of up to 13 megajoules. This makes practically any existing homogeneous armor useless. However, the Leopard won't be able to strike at several dozen kilometers like artillery. This means that in the future, just like now, tanks will have to operate within the kill zone of drones and loitering munitions. What should the protection look like? The new Leopard will get thicker armor for the upper hemisphere, since FPVs, loitering munitions, and cluster munitions hit the turret roof. Rheinmetall has also developed versions of lightweight anti-drone screens and cages. A key lesson from Ukraine has been taken into account. Additionally, for protection against certain types of kamikaze drones and all types of ATGMs or rocket-propelled grenades, the new Leopard will get an integrated active protection system like the Israeli Trophy, which is already installed on the Leopard 2A8. Another candidate is the German MUSS from Hensoldt with missile and laser warning sensors. Furthermore, Bundeswehr tanks are already being equipped with mobile jammers to suppress FPV's control signals and GPS navigation. Kinetic Defense Vehicle (KDV) systems are also being implemented to detect and neutralize drones at distances of up to 1,400 meters. A combat module with a radar and a machine gun or cannon is mounted on a separate chassis. The system is already undergoing testing with combat experience taken into account, but the main protector of the tanks will be the Skyranger 30 anti-aircraft tanks produced by Rheinmetall. Without this, the tank won't survive. The Skyranger 30s are armed with a 30mm cannon that can be mounted on any chassis. The munitions are programmable. Each shell contains 160 tungsten cones. The operating principle: radar finds the targets, AI locks on and tracks them. The cannon fires, and it does it even on the move. So the Skyranger 30 is capable of protecting tanks during a combat march while moving within tank columns. This universal soldier is capable of protecting not only tanks but also self-propelled artillery. The German PZH-2000 have proven themselves in Ukraine as some of the most powerful and high-tech systems in this war. And again, that's not just a press release. On our channel, you'll find a video where Ukrainian artillerymen who have experience working on SPGs from other manufacturers share their impressions of the PZH-2000. We recommend you check it out after finishing this video. However, the PZH-2000 faced the same problems as the tanks: drones that see everything. With the battlefield saturated with drones, the time spent at a firing position has been cut down to minutes. This means the SPGs have to act even faster. That's why, alongside refining the PZH-2000, the Germans were developing the new RCH-155. The war in Ukraine showed that this direction of development was the right call. The RCH-155 features the exact same L-52 artillery gun as the PZH-2000. You don't fix what isn't broken. But here, the gun is mounted on the high-mobility wheeled chassis of the Boxer APCs. The RCH-155 represents a new tempo of war. The RCH-155 doesn't just deploy quickly. It's capable of firing on the move, which makes the enemy's counter-battery efforts useless. The fire control system compensates for oscillations and changes in the chassis position. The ballistic computer automatically calculates the firing parameters. Inertial navigation is capable of operating without a satellite signal. The remote-controlled module fully automates gun aiming, ammo selection, loading, and fuse setting. A human only gives the command and pushes the button, which is why the RCH-155 crew consists of just 2 people. As you can see, there's a high level of automation here too, reducing the number of crew members and their training time. To counter the threats that have proven effective in Ukraine, all units will be integrated into a single information cloud, receiving data from external UAVs and satellites to strike targets at a safe distance. But what if Elon Musk's satellites go down? The Bundeswehr is actively working to reduce its dependence on the Starlink system and plans to launch its own satellite constellation by 2029. We're keeping an eye on this development because recent events on the front lines, where Russian units lost internet access via Starlink, caused quite a stir. You can have a mountain of tanks and artillery guns, but without satellite communication, a modern army becomes a 19th century army. But let's get back down to earth. Drones have also impacted infantry unit operations. In fact, logistics, casualty evacuation, and unit rotations are often more dangerous missions than actually holding specific positions. The war in Ukraine shows that you can never have too much transport. That's exactly why Marders became a survival tool for the AFUs. However, the Marders were designed in the 70s, so these machines are way too old. On top of that, the Marder doesn't have factory standard protection against top-down strikes. The optics are old, thermal imagers are limited, and there's no full 360-degree view. In a war dominated by drones, that's critical. That's why the Bundeswehr plans to purchase 10,000 different armored vehicles over the next 10 years. That's 10 times more than what Ukraine had at the start of the war. But it's significantly less than what Russia had. But this doesn't mean Germany is still living under illusions regarding the capabilities of its allies or the Kremlin's abilities. That's why the country has already begun a massive modernization of its forces, which will cost around 377 billion euros. The German government wants to make its army the strongest in Europe. Germany aims to be a leader that provides logistics, troop numbers, and a technological edge. Germany has drawn its conclusions. But what about the other alliance countries? Oh, that's a whole different story that deserves its own video. Let us know in the comments which European armies you think deserve attention too. Who's already woken up? France, Poland, Great Britain? If you're missing the combat action in this video, then maybe you'll find what you're looking for in these playlists. Stay safe.